Hello and welcome. You are watching News 9 Live here, and I'm Krishnakumar. We are putting the focus on the controversy surrounding the NEET 2024. The controversy continues to make headlines. Many unusual occurrences and, more importantly, discrepancies in the results of NEET 2024 has kept the National Testing Agency, or NTA, in the eye of the storm. And to make matters more complex now, the chairman of the governing body of the National Testing Agency, or NTA, Mr. Pradeep Kumar Joshi, is being given the charge to oversee the investigation into the results of NEET 2024. Is the chairman of the governing body of NTA, the organization entrusted with conducting the NEET exam, the right choice to lead the investigation on foul play in the test itself? We will discuss that on the show today. And also, in a new turn of events, the founder of EdTech unicorn Physicswala, Alak Pandey, has decided to move the Supreme Court of India against the NEET 2024 results. And we are getting him as well on the show today. But it's not the first time that NTA's NEET assessment has gone into controversy. In 2023, last year, many students claimed discrepancies a day after NEET results were announced. They called it NEET OMR fraud on social media, demanding an explanation from NTA. Students claimed that the total marks secured per the OMR sheet were more than those in their result cards. A year before that, in 2022, the CBI arrested 8 people for examination rigging. Amongst them, one was a suspected mastermind and others allegedly impersonated real candidates to help them clear the exam. And the year before that, in 2021, even before the exam, reports of paper leaks were doing the rounds on social media. But major news came from Uttar Pradesh, where a gang was exposed for taking contracts to send impersonators and charge them anywhere between 30 to 40 lakh rupees. Back in 2020, the NEET controversy became global. During that year, owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, students feared taking the exam at the physical examination centers, but the government went ahead conducting the exam as usual. Many influential personalities, from activist Greta Thunberg to Bollywood actor Sonu Sood, voiced their support against the government's decision to conduct the exams in person. The list of controversies surrounding NEET doesn't end there. In fact, it gives a fair idea about all that's wrong with the examination conducting process. But the controversies this year in NEET 2024 are not simply about cheating or impersonation or even student suicides. Here's a quick recap. This year, a whopping 67 candidates bagged a perfect 720 upon 720, the perfect score, 100 upon 100. Earlier, in the previous years, not more than 4 candidates topped in any year. 8 out of 67 toppers this year had the same sequence of roll numbers and took the exam from the same Faridabad-based examination center. 2 candidates had secured 718 and 719 marks out of 720, a number that's impossible to achieve given that there are 4 marks for a right answer and -1 for a wrong answer, which means you can either get 720 or 715. The results were also announced on the same day as the Lok Sabha election results, around 10 days earlier than the actual date. There were allegations of paper leak as an unprecedented 67 candidates got the top score. The NTA, the National Testing Agency, on the 6th of June released a document clarifying these controversies. However, questions continued to remain. Amidst paper leak allegations, many candidates demanded a re-exam or a re-NEET exam for 2024. What is the way forward? We have guests joining us on the show. We have, as we told you, Alak Pandey, CEO of Physicswala, joining us. We have Dr. Dhruv Chauhan, National Coordinator, IMA Junior Doctors Network. But let me begin with Mr. Rahil Sheikh, CEO, NEETprep.com, who joins us. Rahil, right now, you look at the situation. The person, the chairman of the governing body of the National Testing Agency, is the one who is tasked with looking into what is wrong with the way NEET has been conducted. Rahil, we can't hear you. Can you please unmute yourself? Right. We will get that connection with Rahil and then get back to me. Meanwhile, I have my colleague Kartik Malhotra joining us in the studio. Kartik, I mean, this goes against every single way of conducting an investigation. The questions here are being raised upon on the NTA, National Testing Agency. What was it doing? It has a job to conduct a free and fair NEET exam, and the chairman of the governing body of NTA gets to look into what is wrong with the way the exams have been conducted.
Absolutely. So I think, the whole story is getting murkier and murkier and dirtier and dirtier. So NEET is not NEAT. It's not neat. It's not clean. It's actually fairly murky. Obviously, there are concerns about the chairman of the governing body, Mr. Pradeep Kumar Joshi, being entrusted with the job of investigating the processes which he has already governed and already laid out. I mean, can we really expect a fair investigation by somebody who is part of the system which created this whole, machinery of conducting free and fair exams? This is one part of the problem. I think the number of issues that have surfaced, you mentioned the sequence number being common for, I think, 8 All India rank holders, right? The sequence, within that sequence, there are 6 candidates who belong to the same Faridabad center, have the same sequence, and don't even have a second name in the application or in the admit card. This is question number 2. Now, Congress Kerala, in a tweet, has just posted a couple of hours ago, Krishna, that there is this one particular candidate, and I don't want to take the name of the candidate, there is this one particular candidate whose mark sheet of the 12th class board exams suggests that that particular individual got 31 out of 100 in the class 12th board exams, 31 out of 100 in chemistry, and 39 out of 100 in biology. And this person is one of the rank holders who has scored 705 out of 720. This person could well end up becoming a doctor one day, having scored such less marks in class 12th board exams. Can we really ensure that these candidates who fall in this borderline, that their class 12th results don't match up to their scores in NEET, and do some sort of a fair audit, fair investigation? And why should you look at somebody who is internal to this whole examination conducting process to look at that correlation? Why not get somebody independent like the CBI to go ahead and do this investigation?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that exactly was what was suggested by many. Why not get the CBI to look into this matter? We'll first listen to what Pradeep Kumar Singh, Director General of NTA National Testing Agency, had to say.
जैसे मैंने बताया कि ये जो एग्ज़ाम है, इसमें जो इशू आ रहा है, ये 6 सेंटर्स और 1600 कैंडिडेट्स का आ रहा है। तो इसमें जो ये इशू आ रहा है, इसका हम लोगों ने पूरा एक कमेटी बना के एक्सपर्ट का एनालाइज़ किया और उनके ग्रीवांसेस एड्रेस किए कि जिससे जो 23 लाख कैंडिडेट्स हैं उनका भी इशू ना हो और जो इतने कैंडिडेट्स हैं उनके भी इशू ना हो। बट टू अले द फियर अगेन कि इसमें किसी को भी वो ना हो, तो एनटीए हैज़ डिसाइडेड कि जो एक हमने ग्रीवांस रिड्रेसल कमेटी बनाई थी, उसने जो रिकमेंडेशंस दी थी उनको जो है एक हाई पावर्ड कमेटी एनालाइज़ कर ले। तो एक हमने कमेटी बनाई है, उस कमेटी इनको एक बार फिर से देख लेगी कि जो इनके ग्रीवांसेस थे 1600 कैंडिडेट्स के, उनके भी ग्रीवांसेस ना रहें, और जो 23 लाख लोगों के मन में हैं कि काफ़ी सारे टॉपर्स आ गए, ये आ गए, तो इनके भी इशूज वो ना हों। तो इस तरीके का निर्णय एक हम लोगों ने लिया है। थैंक यू।
Right, and now we have Dr. Dhruv Chauhan, National Coordinator, IMA, Indian Medical Association's Junior Doctors Network, and Rahil, Sheikh, CEO of NEETPrep.com. Let me first take this across to Dr. Dhruv Chauhan. Dr. Dhruv Chauhan, look at what's happening. This is the question we're asking on a poll as well online. All those watching this broadcast, I urge all of you to answer that poll question. Can NTA chairman of the governing body of NTA, Mr. Joshi, conduct a fair investigation? Simple question to you, Dr. Dhruv Chauhan.
Sir, it's just similar to like those who are somehow responsible for the ragging are forming the ragging committee. So it is just similar to that, and the NEET aspirants across the nation, who are listening to this, that the NTA chairman is forming it. Like it's like you have been alleged, and you are the one forming the committee yourself. It is absolutely injustice to the students. And I believe that, by this gross injustice and avoiding listening to the 24 lakh aspirants, You are doing the biggest mistake ever.
Rahil Sheikh, I'm sure you're listening to what Dr. Dhruv Chauhan is saying. Rahil Sheikh, CEO of neetprep.com. I mean, look at the situation. I mean, how can you do this? You know, it's beyond anybody's comprehension. It is the NTA which is under the line of fire, and you're the chairman of NTA's governing body being tasked with looking into what has gone wrong.
Right. I love the example given by Dr. Dhruv. It absolutely is like you are asking the same people to investigate who have been, accused of wrongdoing. So there are definitely moral hazards that exist there. At the same time, the solution is that whoever investigates it, there are going to be questions around the fairness and fairness of the process. And hence, I really think that here, what needs to happen is bring more automation to this process, which means that NTA, the same body which conducts the JEE exam as well, does this online at such a large scale. There is a difference between 15 lakh and 24 lakh, but it's not an order of magnitude. Hence, what is the need of the hour is that this process also needs to go online so that logs exist, records exist for what has happened, and so that there is not a single point of failure. What happens right now, for example, questions being raised about somebody's legitimacy, somebody's OMR being exchanged, somebody's OMR being changed from the backend. All of those questions will cease to exist when there is more transparency, more logging of the whole process. I'm not saying that digital systems can't be manipulated, but the chance of them being manipulated is lower. So hence, what my suggestion is that at this stage, what needs to happen is that exams like NEET need to go online, especially because they are such high stakes exam. They have such a massive impact on the lives of the students who are taking these exams. These exams need to go online.
Right, and as we've been telling you, we are running a poll online. Can the chairman of NTA, Mr. Joshi, conduct a fair investigation? The results of the poll are already there on your screens. 52% say no. Pradeep Kumar Joshi is not the right person to conduct this probe. Dr. Dhruv Chauhan, I'm going to take this back to you. Doesn't this make it all the more suspicious that you tend to suspect the NTA more after a move like this?
Actually, I feel, first of all, the poll is somehow influenced by these people. Because whosoever I'm talking to, whosoever the NEET aspirant is, and everybody, on my social media handle or who are coming to the Indian Medical Association, everybody is saying that this should not be conducted by the NTA chairman. Nobody is satisfied with the NTA. Then why this is possible that anybody would ever favor that the NTA chairman should himself, conduct this?
Especially when NEET has been surrounded by one controversy after over the other in the last 4 years. There was a controversy in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. This is the 5th year running in which, the NEET results have surrounded with so much controversies.
Absolutely. Actually, every year something happens. But, due to the power of social media, we can say the controversies actually came out with proofs this time. And the proofs are caught this time because they did blunders and they took students for granted. They thought that this time that they won't be, they can't be busted or they can't be, caught. So this was the mistake, and whosoever was doing it is caught this time. And all the evidences are so clear. They're so clear in even the legal ways that they that it is very possible to reconduct this exam if the Supreme Court take cognizance of this matter. I am sure that they would understand the plight of 24 lakh students. This is something that NTA chairman should not take in his hand. Rather, the CBI should do. And as a part of the Indian Medical Association, we have demanded CBI inquiry in this case.
Right, Kartik, and that is really the point over here, isn't it? Anybody who has a problem with these results, and across the board, parents, teachers, so much anguish, so much trouble that people have been preparing for months and years in many cases are going through. In a situation like this, where it's a national interest, it's a matter of national interest, it is time for a real central agency like the CBI to step into the matter. And you have somebody like the physics wala who's moving the Supreme Court now.
Absolutely. So I think, we'll see a lot of action on this, Krishna. I think we are just about scratching the tip of the iceberg here. This is a deep-rooted problem. And over the years, we've seen 5 years running, NEET has been surrounded by controversy. It hasn't reached this scale ever. So I think there is public interest, number one. Number two, you have some influencers who are now jumping into the fray and looking at moving the court and hopefully getting the court also to take notice of the issues at hand. Then it's also becoming a political slugfest. Remember, we have now at least, a situation where there is some voice in the opposition. And we've seen the likes of Rahul Gandhi also now come out. We've seen the likes of Randeep Surjewala also tweeting. So there is enough and more political action. There's enough and more influencer action. And I think the voice on social media of the aspirants who have very, very fairly participated in a competitive exam also coming out in the open. In fact, there are nationwide protests which are running. There are nationwide protest visuals which we have been carrying on our channel as well, which shows that this is not something which is going to die down easily. This is a movement which has to be picked up. Now, will the Supreme Court step in first? Will there be political pressure on the government to constitute another investigative body agency to come into action? Or whether it is going to be the demand of certain students who perhaps want to push for a retest, which, mind you, is going to be a far more difficult and challenging solution, if at all, to this fairly messy problem that we have at hand. Because a retest is not going to be easy. Number one, what happens to those students who have very, very sincerely prepared and given that examination and have got still some ranks which could qualify them into premier institutions to become doctors eventually? What happens to the fate of those students who have sincerely given the exam, and if they are subjected to a retest, is that going to be a fair sort of, rollout of the new decision in their favor? I doubt it. Right? Will it help weed out certain students who have used unscrupulous means to pass and get good ranks in the examination? Perhaps yes. So I think this balancing act will be difficult, and retest may not be the most prudent solution to this problem. But an open, transparent investigation by CBI or by another independent agency which the government forms, with the political pressure and with the pressure of the students who are protesting all across the country right now, is definitely something which we should see culminate into a more meaningful investigation.
Rahil, Sheikh, as a CEO of NEETprep.com, I'm sure you're also dealing with so many of these students and so many of these parents who are going through an absolutely torrid time at this stage. Many, hitting the streets in protest. We've seen NEET being embroiled in one controversy or the other over the last 4 years, but this time around looks like enough is enough. That's what's happened this time around. And this time around, the fact that they've got the NTA chairman as the response to all the controversies that is built up is going to leave people even more dissatisfied than before.
Absolutely, absolutely. It seems like things have come to a boil this time, which hasn't happened before. And like we have mentioned, that there have been issues in the past as well. This is unprecedented this year, definitely. However, at the same time, just like Kartik mentioned, I'd like to point out that the students who have prepared sincerely, their time needs to be valued. Their efforts cannot go to the drain. So we know the fact that 4 of our students who are at rank 1, and we have the records throughout the whole year. And these are through different centers, some from Nagpur, some from Akola, some from Siliguri. And we know for a fact that these are sincere students, and we need to maintain the sanctity of the exam for the students who have done well and have qualified the exam. That needs to happen. But at the same time, what also needs to happen is for the students to take note of what is the best course for them at this stage. So at the risk of sounding like a cynic, to me, it seems like NTA is already in a mode where they're trying to do damage control instead of, moving in a direction where there could be more transparency. Like we've already seen that the person who's heading this committee is also from NTA. So it doesn't look like there is going to be a big difference. I wish that could change, but frankly, I don't think that's under my control. So all I can do is make an appeal to the students who are watching your show, or to the parents whose wards are currently preparing for the NEET exam, to start preparing right away. Make sure that they're not leaving any stones unturned. Make sure that they're not wasting their time following this up, because to me it seems like things are probably not going to change for this year.
But Dhruv, is retest even an option? Because what happens? When will the retest get conducted? When is it going to get evaluated? And what happens to the students who are actually preparing to now join colleges and study medical?
Yeah.
I mean, don't they end up losing months and months of their academic year?
Actually, this is not the first time that this NEET can be conducted twice in a year. In past also, I guess it has happened. And I don't think so that much problem was arrived, except the fact that the batch got delayed. But a batch being delayed is much better than a fake batch coming out. If imagine like AIMS Delhi is getting candidates, and they came out via the grace marking scheme when they do not even deserve to be there, this would be such a big loss to those who are actually deserving to be there. And not just AIMS Delhi, in fact, many institutes where if those candidates, we are still in a suspicion. Everybody is in suspicion. Everybody is doubting if this exam was fair and not. And in this suspicion, if even if they come out and join a new batch, this won't make a sense. This would always keep people in suspicion. Then even hard doesn't matter how hard work you do. In the end, somebody will give you a grace mark or do make some shitty rules, and all of a sudden, they came out passing while those deserving ones will fail. So this is all a very suspicious game. People will lose trust from the government. People will lose trust from the testing agency. If this exam is not fairly repeated, at least give a chance. At least conduct this exam again. If there is a alleged leak, if proofs are coming out, if arrests are being made, you should be careful enough to understand the emotion of 24 lakh aspirants and 1 crore, families.
But Rahil, I want to bring you back in. What are the checks and balances at the end of the colleges and the universities that admit these students? In the case of, let's say, the common admission test, the CAT, every IIM or ISP conduct their own GDs and their own personal interviews and reassess the students. So just one scorecard of CAT is not enough. Is that not the case in NEET? Does this one single examination paper decide where the student gets his admission?
Absolutely. That's a very point. And why even go to CAT, which is, post undergrad? We can just take the example of JEE, which is very similar in terms of the age group and in terms of the target audience. It's just that those are for math students, whereas this is for bio students. What happens with JEE is that there is one level exam, which is at means level, where it is applicable for everybody. And the advanced level exam is for just a small percentage of the test takers. Hence, if there are any irregularities at one level, it's unlikely, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's unlikely that that irregularity will happen at both the levels. And hence, something similar can be implemented for NEET, and that's what I would advocate for as well. That would probably save us from some accusations, or save NTA from some accusations of irregularities, and will give more confidence to the students.
So
Also,
Dhruv,
one more
what
thing
is
is that
Dhruv, what is stopping independent colleges to now take that check and balance in place and implement it? Why can independent colleges at this stage, with the scores that we have, with the ranks that we have, not do another test of their own at the time of admission?
Actually, the colleges do not have the authority to do that. Like if you are going via an exam and you're getting a rank 1, so whichsoever the college the student wants to take, they can take. Or whichsoever, if you are under 100, whichsoever college that comes under those rank, they will have to take your application and allow you to, join that college. So it is actually not in their own hand. They will have to follow the government guidelines, which is based upon the rank of the students. In private colleges, they can do their own things, but in government, at least, they cannot do anything.
Right. The question I have at this stage is that we've seen now, when you take stock of what's been happening with NEET year after year, there is something fundamentally wrong with the way this test has been conducted. There's something that's gone terribly wrong. Dhruv, talk to us. When did you think that things have started going awry and that now it has reached this stage for it to have a complete relook?
Actually, it all started on 5th May itself, when there was.
No, I'm asking over the course of the years. Over the course of the years, you've seen there's a controversy in 2020 when there was, they called students physically to exam centers during COVID. There was something wrong over there. And then 2021, there was impersonation, there was cheating. There was so many things going on with NEET. Looks like what is happening this year is an outcome of the fact that so much has gone unchecked over the last several years.
Actually, that's what exactly I was saying. The outrage that is created today, if that would have been created earlier also, so might be there some investigation would have taken place. But previous years, it could not happen because of the insufficiency of proofs. But this time, the proofs are there in front of people, in front of the court, in front of the aspirant families, in front of the nation. Everything is clear and very clear that there was a leak. We have arrests made for that. Why would a police official arrest you without any proof or leak. Everything was clear. We have proof that whatever the NTA is saying regarding the court order, that court order also does not follow the guidelines for the
Okay.
medical exam. So if it does not follow it, then what is your authority, and what was your authority to conduct that normalization or gracing of marks according to it? Everything from the beginning, from the day of leak to the day of results coming out, everything is suspicious. Not just
Yes.
suspicious, coming out gross negligence in the entire administration. Everybody is somehow allegedly involved.
Right. Dr. Dhruv Chauhan, National Coordinator, IMA, Junior Doctors Network, they're joining us. And of course, Rahil, Sheikh, CEO of NEET Prep as well. .com. Thank you both of you gentlemen for being with us, and with that we've completely run out of time on this show. I want to thank my colleague Kartik Malhotra for being with us in the studio as well. Thank you, Kartik. And
Thanks,
with that,
Krishna.